Darlings is a comedy about a grim subject. Does debutante director Jasmeet K Reen manage this ambitious balancing act? Let's find out. Darlings has been written by Jasmeet and Parvez Sheikh, who earlier wrote The Superb Queen. This film is also about a woman finding her strength and her voice and coming to the understanding that husbands are less than essential. The story about a lower middle class Muslim mother and daughter must necessarily swerve between scenes of terrifying violence and laughs. The film starts with a thanks to Shankar Raman, director of Gurgaon and Love Hostel, which gives you some idea of the dark spaces the plot will veer into. The narrative flirts with absurd and impossible situations. Darlings wobbles, especially in the somewhat flappy second hour, but eventually Jasmeet veers the story of Badru-Nisa Sheikh to a satisfying close. Badru could be the meek sister of Safina Ferdowsi from Gully Boy. Like her, she comes from a conservative working class environment. But unlike Safina, Badru's aspirations are limited to her home, her husband Hamza, and the child she desperately wants to have. Badru is a compliant, doting wife. When stones accidentally get into the rice she's cooked for Hamza, she puts her hand out so that he can spit into it. Badru believes that their love for each other and eventually a child will set the world right, which is impossible because Hamza is manipulative, abusive, and deeply insecure. He's also an alcoholic, and eventually he pushes Badru too far. A toxic marriage is rarely material for humor, but Darlings manages to locate it. The title comes from the endearment that Hamza uses for Badru. He camouflages his creepiness with it. Hamza does terrible things but manages to placate Badru with his oily affection. He maneuvers her emotions with the skills of a puppet master. Vijay Varma is brilliant as this awful man. Like a chameleon, Hamza changes colors. At home, he's horrifically controlling, but at work, he's a ticket collector. He is servile, starting each morning by cleaning his boss's toilet. Hamza's bravado is hollow. Badru is the only opportunity he has to feel superior. Vijay nails every shade. So does Alia Bhatt. One of the pleasures of Darlings is to watch stellar actors in the same frame. Badru starts out tragically naive. You almost want to save her from herself. Alia imbues Badru with compassion. She allows us to see why certain women put up with so much. Shefali Shah does the same with Badru's mother, Shamsu-Nisa, who everyone calls Khala. Khala is wiser, more experienced. She knows what men like Hamza are capable of. Shefali is terrific as this feisty, defiant woman, especially in a scene in which Khala reveals her own past. Badru and Khala's relationship is the spine of the film. There's also Roshan Mathew, charming as Zulfi, their helper and confidant, whose own love story takes a delightfully unexpected turn.
अगर तूने हमजा को किडनैप किया है ना, तो साहब को सच बता दे.
बाप रे खाला मैंने क्या? आप दोनों ने
Jasmeet creates a lived-in world in a Mumbai chawl. DOP Anil Mehta uses the cramped spaces to underline Badru's confinement. She's trapped even within her own home, living by Hamza's strict rules. Here, even red nail polish and high-heeled shoes become an act of rebellion. And pay attention to a pink teddy bear, which becomes a metaphor for Badru and Hamza's relationship. Jasmeet creates scenes of genuine dread. In one, a lunchbox banging against the steps becomes terrifying. But the story alternates this with laughs. The humor is a little bit more of a hit and a miss. As the plot becomes more fanciful, the jokes land a little less, but the actors don't allow the soft spots in the writing to weigh the film down.
सिर्फ ख्यालों में मारा था.
किसमें?
ख्यालों में साहब.
मेरे माथे पे क्या लिखा हुआ है?
कुछ नहीं लिखा है साहब.
मीट किया होगा.
The dialogue, co-written by Jasmeet, Parvez and Vijay Maurya, also helps to smoothen some of the rough edges. Vijay Maurya also plays the beleaguered inspector who Badru and Khala go to. When he tells Khala that times have changed, she ruefully replies, "Twitter वालों के लिए दुनिया बदल गई है, हमारे लिए नहीं." Vijay Maurya also wrote the dialogue of Gully Boy. The two films also share an actor, Vijay Varma, and an editor, Nitin Ben. But Darlings is very much its own film. There is a generosity of spirit which makes it eminently watchable. This is the first film to be co-produced by Alia's production company Eternal Sunshine, and it's a solid start. And do stick around for the longer rendition of the rip-roaring mischievous title song which plays over the end credits. Music by Vishal Bharadwaj and lyrics by Gulzar Saab. The song has lines like "Darte darte hum dry fruit ho gaye." I was sold. Would I recommend Darlings to a friend? Yes, absolutely. Now to tell you a bit more about Mubi. Every day, Mubi premieres a new film. From brand new work by emerging filmmakers to modern masterpieces from today's greatest icons, there's always something new to discover. With Mubi, each and every film is hand-selected. It's like your own personal film festival, streaming anytime, anywhere. Try Mubi free for 90 days at mubi.com/filmcompanion90. That's mubi.com/filmcompanion90 for 3 months of great cinema for free. This week, I highly recommend you check out The Worst Person in the World by Joachim Trier, which is streaming now on Mubi. The Worst Person in the World is a gorgeous, tender heartbreaker of a movie. Director Joachim Trier, working with frequent collaborator Eskil Vogt, tells the story of a 30-something Oslo resident, Julie. Julie, played by a terrific Renata Reinsve, is pretty, smart, indecisive, and sometimes even callous. She changes professions, boyfriends, hair color with the same sort of insouciance. Her behavior can be baffling, but the film doesn't judge her. Instead, Trier creates a grounded, irreverent, and melancholy study of a woman trying to find her identity. This film will make you laugh. You might also wipe a tear in recognition of your own follies of youth and in recognition of how life eventually forces us all to become wiser. You can watch it exclusively on Mubi.